Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 10-team PPR mock draft from the 4th overall spot on Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard. Inside today's video, we're going to be going in-depth into my thought process as I make every single pick inside of the draft. We're going to be talking about why I make each pick, as well as talking about the other players that I was thinking about at each draft selection. But before we get on into this video, I would like to ask if you are new to my YouTube channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 Fantasy Football Championship. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you hit that like button down below to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. I would also like to let you guys know that my articles and rankings are available for free on Osmo.com. The link to both of those will be down below in the description, as well as in the pinned comment. If you guys enjoy reading about fantasy football or you want to see my rankings, please make sure that you click on the links down below in the description or in the pinned comment. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So again, this is a 10-team PPR mock draft from the 4th overall spot. The roster positions go as follow: 1 quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, flex, kicker, defense, and 6 bench spots. In this video, we're going to be drafting up against the composite average draft position of all of these websites listed down below. So without further ado, let's get into the draft. So sitting at the number 4 overall spot is definitely not my favorite spot inside of a 10-team league, but to me, it could be a little bit worse. I personally dislike sitting in the middle of drafts, so picking at the number 5 spot where you're just stuck in the middle the whole time, to me, isn't very ideal. But again, everyone kind of likes different draft spots depending on your preference, so nothing against you if you have the 104. I believe you can draft a very good team from any single spot. So before you even get in your draft, if you know you have the 4th overall pick, you can basically project exactly what is going to go on ahead of you. Now, obviously, in drafts, there's times when crazy shit is going to happen. In some drafts, someone might take Saquon Barkley at the 101, but a majority of time, 99.99999% of the time, you're going to see Christian McCaffrey go at the 101. Now, at the 102, Dalvin Cook goes. A majority of the time, it's not necessarily a lock that he will go there at the 102, but if he doesn't get picked 2nd overall, he'll probably go 3rd overall before you pick at the 104. 3rd overall is typically going to be Alvin Kamara. Sometimes it will be Derrick Henry. Other times it could be Nick Chubb, or maybe they go a little bit spicy. They draft a tight end super early. Anything could really happen at the 103. It's not as set in stone, but a majority of the time I see Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry go at that spot. So if you know before the draft that you are the 4th overall pick, you basically just have to get your mindset between 2 players. Either you're going to want Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry, and whichever one falls to you is probably who you're going to end up picking. To me, Alvin Kamara would be my favorite pick at the 4th overall spot, but obviously he did not fall to us at the 4th overall spot. So here we are going to be going with Derrick Henry. Now, I know it is a PPR league and Derrick Henry has hands that are made of fucking cinder blocks, but to me, it doesn't really matter because his upside is still a top 5 running back in fantasy football, despite the fact that he doesn't catch any balls at all during these games. But it doesn't matter because he's a running back that can rush for over 2,000 yards. You can't really say that about any other player getting drafted in fantasy football at the running back position. So I believe very heavily in Derrick Henry. I understand if you might want to draft Aaron Jones ahead of him, Ezekiel Elliott, but to me, Derrick Henry is the answer at the 104, and I'm very excited to get him on my team. I think this offense is going to be running the ball even more effectively at this point with Julio Jones on the roster. I just think this is a team that's going to score a bunch of points, and Derrick Henry should be able to find the end zone a bunch of times this year. After we went ahead and drafted Derrick Henry, came Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, 9-inch Nick Chubb, and Tyreek Hill to close out the final pick of the 1st round. So inside the 1st round, normally heavily dominated by running back, that is exactly what we saw today. Devontae Adams, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill, the only non-running backs to go inside of the 1st round. Typically in the 2nd round, things start to open up a little more. You see a couple more wide receivers, and then in the 3rd round is typically when all bets are off and you start seeing a zillion wide receivers come off the board because people aren't as confident in those 3rd round running backs compared to the 1st and 2nd round running backs. So the 2nd round begins with Jonathan Taylor, followed by Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Stephon Diggs, Najee Harris, and DeAndre Hopkins. One of my biggest kind of complaints about how these other computers are drafting is the fact that DeAndre Hopkins went ahead of Calvin Ridley. In my opinion, Calvin Ridley should be drafted ahead of him every single time. For the Atlanta Falcons, Calvin Ridley the clear number one guy there. He's going to be the number one target on this team, and I believe he is going to be peppered with targets game in and game out. The Atlanta Falcons defense is fucking terrible, if we're being honest with you, and the offense is going to have to throw a lot late in games, and Calvin Ridley is going to have an excellent season. To me, I would draft him 100% of the time over DeAndre Hopkins. Another pick that I had an issue with was Nick Chubb at the 109. Now, picking Nick Chubb at the 109 is typically an okay practice, but this time we see Devontae Adams and Travis Kelce go ahead of him, so I'd much prefer running backs that are available like Aaron Jones or Austin Eckler at that spot. So I think that the 202 and the 203 got a big steal with Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler at that spot. So we're sitting here right now with Derrick Henry as our starting running back, and we could look either running back or wide receiver at this spot. You could also go with Darren Waller here. I do believe very heavily in Darren Waller this season, but at the 207, it's not necessarily a reach because there's a pretty solid chance between our pick and our next pick in 7 turns that someone will end up taking Darren Waller, but that's a risk I am willing to take to go ahead and get another running back or a wide receiver onto this team. So running back, Antonio Gibson, Joe Mixon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, Chris Carson. While I think Antonio Gibson could easily finish as a top 10 running back, I believe that the pick of Calvin Ridley is just a much better choice to me. Calvin Ridley could be the number 1 overall wide receiver in fantasy football. I don't really see that outcome coming for Antonio Gibson at the running back position. So here, I'm going to go with the early round running back. The second round, we're going to go with the wide receiver. So Derrick Henry and Calvin Ridley are the nice 1-2 punch to start off this draft. Let's see if Darren Waller ends up getting taken on the turn before we are back up. After Calvin Ridley came Antonio Gibson, Joe Mixon, Justin Jefferson, Darren Waller, Patty Mahomes, and DK Metcalf. So we did end up getting sniped on Darren Waller. So if you really want Darren Waller at this point, my biggest advice to you is to just fucking take him inside of the second round. I understand that normally taking a tight end after Travis Kelce in the second round might, in your opinion, be a little bit risky, but my opinion on Darren Waller is that this is going to be a guy that could potentially be the tight end number 1 in fantasy football, and you can get him at a round discount from Travis Kelce. Now, does that mean I hate Travis Kelce? No, but I do like Darren Waller a whole ton to contend with him this season, so I think the pick is perfectly fine inside of the third round. Patrick Mahomes, to me, inside of the third round is a little bit stupid. Now, I understand it. Early on in your drafts, I always tell you guys to keep it as safe as possible, to wrap a metaphorical condom around your team. Because early on in the draft, you should be trying to be as safe as possible, because it is very hard to win your draft early on, to win your league from your first couple of picks, but it is very easy for your team to smack into an iceberg like the Titanic by reaching and making stupid picks in the early rounds of drafts. The early rounds to me are the first 4 rounds. So I understand Patrick Mahomes is a very, very safe pick, but instead, why not just take a wide receiver here and then wait until the 5th round and take, say, Kyler Murray or Josh Allen? To me, that's how your team ends up looking a lot better. Because typically, after Patrick Mahomes comes off the board, there isn't instantly some panic. Now, sometimes there could be, but in a majority of the time, someone picks Patrick Mahomes, then there's about a round or 2 lull before Josh Allen comes off the board or Kyler Murray. But then after typically the second quarterback comes off the board, that's when full-on fucking panic ensues. And then you see Josh Allen come off the board, then Kyler Murray, Lamar, Dak, they all fly off the board very, very fast. But to me, I don't want to be the guy taking the first quarterback off the board. So right now, we have a very balanced approach to our team with a running back and a wide receiver through our first 2 picks, so we could go anywhere at this spot. Again, not going to be going quarterback, though. At tight end, George Kittle is still available. I am personally not all aboard the George Kittle train. Now, if you watched yesterday's video, it was my tight end rankings video, and I have George Kittle ranked as the 3rd best tight end, but I feel as though there is definitely a tier gap between him and Kelce and Kittle. There really is. To me, you could actually make them all in 3 separate tiers. They're all in their own tier. So Kelce at the top, Waller second in his own tier, and then third, George Kittle in his own tier. To me, George Kittle is an excellent tight end, but I think there's a lot of risk there with Trey Lance potentially coming under center and them trying to run the ball a lot more. So here, we're not looking tight end, so it's either running back or wide receiver. Right here at the running back position, we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, Chris Carson, Dave Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins. We do pick again in 13 picks, so I am fine waiting on the running back position, especially since since I'm super confident in the safety of Derrick Henry. So here we are going to go wide receiver. And the question is, which wide receiver should we take here? A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin, C.D. Lamb, Robert Woods. There's a whole lot of good options here inside the third round. Let me know down below in the comment section who you guys prefer with the wide receivers we have here. Do you guys want A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin at this pick at the 304? Personally, to me, it is they're all kind of in a similar tier with each other. It's definitely a dice roll. I do have A.J. Brown ranked the highest, but the question is, do we want to take a wide receiver and a running back on the exact same team? Now, that is something that you might want to debate with yourself, because personally, I believe if they're good players on a great fucking team like I believe the Tennessee Titans are, then you should not worry about it. So here, we are going to go ahead and select A.J. Brown, wide receiver of the Tennessee Titans. I think a lot of people are trying to somewhat make themselves panic about the fact that Julio Jones is there. I think he'll be perfectly fine with Julio Jones in the lineup. I think A.J. Brown could still have a top 5 season. Obviously, upside slightly limited, but could still easily be a top 5 guy this season. After A.J. Brown, we see Clyde Edwards-Helaire followed by George Kittle, Keenan Allen, David Montgomery, Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Swift, and the 4th round begins with C.D. Lamb, Allen Robinson, Mike Evans, J.K. Dobbins, Josh Allen, and Robert Woods. So we are back up on the board here at the 407, but before we get into the breakdown to continue this draft, I would like to ask that if you are new and you have enjoyed thus far, to please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. It's not going to bite. Just click the button. It'll make you happy. Make sure you hit the like button as well to help me out. That would make me very, very happy. So let's get back on into it. So we got Derrick Henry, Calvin Ridley, and A.J. Brown through our first 3 picks. Looking at wide receivers right now, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, Julio Jones. At tight end, Hockenson, Andrews, Pitts. At running back, Chris Carson, Miles Sanders, Darrell Henderson, and Josh Jacobs. Now, right now, I like a lot of these wide receivers that are available. I think that Julio Jones is really coming at an extreme discount, but we're not going to have the whole Tennessee Titans offense on our team. So we're not going to look that way, but I'm saying that I think a lot of people are very much underrating Julio Jones, but I'm going to go ahead here and get a running back. We're going to go with Chris Carson, running back of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, my stance on the Seattle Seahawks team is that this is a team that is going to try to run the ball a lot more this season. I know if you're on board with DK Metcalf, you probably think the complete opposite to me, but I really do believe that I'm going to listen to what Pete Carroll has been saying, and Pete Carroll has continued to speak about rushing the ball more, and Chris Carson is the clear lead back there with some receiving upside, so I'm pretty excited to get Chris Carson inside the 4th round, as I believe he has top 12 potential for fantasy football in 2021. So after the first 2 rounds, we had a balanced approach of 1 running back and 1 wide receiver. After 4 rounds, we still have that very balanced approach with 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. So looking at the board after with Chris Carson, Julio Jones came off the board, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, and Tyler Lockett. Now, I know when you're looking at this, you might think, damn, Nick, you kind of low-key fucked up. You should have probably waited to draft Chris Carson. And while that could be true, you never know how the other players have Chris Carson ranked, because maybe they would think that, hey, instead of drafting Amari there, I would have drafted Chris Carson, so I'm perfectly fine having drafted him at the 407. I think the 504 would have been a very big steal for getting Chris Carson, but again, I'm fine drafting him a little bit earlier. Looking at running backs here, Miles Sanders, Darrell Henderson, Josh Jacobs, Mike Davis, wide receivers, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, and Kenny Golladay. Looking at the quarterbacks available, Kyler, Lamar, Dak. Tight end is TJ Hockenson. So in the 5th round of a 12-team league, I would be kind of inclined to take TJ Hockenson here, but in a 10-team league, I think there is a chance that he ends up falling to me inside of the 6th round. So I'm going to wait, and if I don't get him, I'm just going to wait even longer on the tight end position. It's very similar, my stance on tight end as well as with quarterback. If I don't get one of those top 5 guys at tight end that I really believe in, then I'm probably just going to go ahead and wait till the end of the draft and take a high upside shot on a tight end like Irv Smith. Same thing goes with quarterback. If I don't get the Mahomes, which I probably will never end up drafting on my team, right, because I'm not going to draft or pull the trigger early on enough to get Patrick Mahomes unless you're in a league with people who are a lot sharper and they wait on quarterbacks, which does happen. So I'm probably not going to have Mahomes on any of my teams. But there is a shot that I get one of the other top 5 guys, the Kyler Murray, the Lamar Jackson, the Josh Allen, or the Dak Prescott. Now, news has came out that Dak Prescott is not going to play at all in preseason. Previously, even in last mock draft, I talked about how I believe Dak Prescott was going to be good to go. Maybe not for this weekend's games, right? But for next weekend, he's going to play in the final preseason game. But news came out that he is going to be sat for the whole Duration of the preseason. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. I don't want to overreact to this and tell you guys to signal the fucking warning bells about the fact that Dak is going to be missing time. But to me, it is definitely a little worrisome. Again, don't run fully away from Dak, but just understand that there is some risk with him there. So here we are going to go ahead, and normally we would go wide receiver, so I want to go ahead and try something a little bit different in this draft and potentially go with quarterback, but I do really like Darrell Henderson, but I feel as though 13 picks from now, we may still be able to get a guy like Kareem Hunt on the team as my third running back, so we are going to go quarterback at this spot. We're going to go with Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. Again, it's really fucking splitting hairs between these three. Now, again, Dak Prescott's injury definitely pushes him, did my voice just crack? Injury just pushes him back down in the rankings to 5, but I like Kyler, I like Lamar Jackson, both have immense rushing upside, but to me, the fact that Kyler is much better at passing the ball and could potentially rush for 1,000 yards like Lamar Jackson gives him the slight edge. Again, if you were to argue, hey Nick, you should go Lamar Jackson there, I'm not going to fight back, but I personally will lean the short king himself, Mr. 5'7", Kyler Murray. So let's see in 13 picks if we are going to be able to go ahead and get a running back that I like, or if they will all have been taken. So after we went ahead and got Kyler Murray, Deontay Johnson came out the board, followed by DJ Moore, Josh Jacobs, Brandon Ayuk, Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham Jr., Lamar Jackson, Kyle Pitts, Kenny Golladay, Mark Andrews, Chase Claypool, and Dak Prescott. So look at this. We did see all of the big five quarterbacks come off the board. Before we got to pick, obviously, we took Kyler Murray, but I do think there was a pretty solid chance in here, had we not have taken Kyler Murray, that he would have came off the board. He definitely would have, and we probably would have been stuck with Dak, or maybe not stuck with any of them, because Dak would already have been gone as well. So I'm very excited to get the running back that fell to us in the 6th round. I think it is pretty reasonable that Darrell Henderson could fall this far, because a lot of people aren't super high on Darrell Henderson like they were with Cam Akers. I believe that Darrell Henderson, obviously, he's not Cam Akers, right? There's a reason why Cam Akers stole the keys to the offense from Darrell Henderson, right? Darrell Henderson was looked at as the lead back, then Cam Akers came in, took the job. But I still believe Darrell Henderson is a competent enough NFL running back to warrant that the fact that he's going to be getting the keys, the fact that he is going to be the guy. A lot of reports are coming out that Darrell Henderson is the clear guy in LA, that while they're going to have, obviously, the other running backs behind him, like Xavier Jones, like Jake Funk, what a funny name. But they're not going to be ultra involved. This is going to be Darrell Henderson's backfield, and if that is the case, which I believe it will be, Darrell Henderson has an upside to finish as a top 10 running back, because he's going to be on an offense that is scoring so many points in 2021. Had he not have been there, I probably would have leaned with either Kareem Hunt or Mike Davis at that pick. After Darrell Henderson came Mr. Discount Double Check Aaron Rodgers, Michael Thomas, Kareem Hunt, Russell Wilson, Miles Sanders, and T. Higgins. If I'm being honest with you guys, Michael Thomas in the 6th round is the dumbest pick of this whole fucking draft. I don't like Odell Beckham Jr. at all, but in the 6th round, Michael Thomas is a complete and utter reach. This guy can miss more than half of the season. Please wait until like the 9th, the 10th round to pick Michael Thomas if you want to go ahead and take that risk. To me, inside the 6th round, for a guy that may not even play half the season, is absolutely insane. So looking at the board here, TJ Hawkinson is still available, and while here, I would normally look to go ahead and hammer back down on running back, build that running back depth early on in the draft so I can hammer on the late round wide receivers later. To be honest with you, TJ Hawkinson being available in the 7th round is music to my ears. Music to my ears. I don't know why he's fallen this far. It obviously is possible because not everyone seems to be on the same wavelength about TJ Hawkinson. They see the fact that he's got a Lions logo next to him, and they're thinking, oh man, this Lions offense is going to be terrible. What are they going to do with Jared Goff? Jared Goff couldn't even be amazing with one of the best head coaches in the NFL and Sean McVay. How is he going to do anything in Detroit? And then they're like, oh, this offense is going to be so shit. They have no wide receivers. So what do? I'm just going to fade TJ Hawkinson. To me, all of those reasons are maybe not the fact that Jared Goff is not the greatest, are reasons why you would want to draft TJ Hawkinson. He's on a team that's going to be bad. They're going to be down in games. They're going to have to throw the ball. They don't have a wide receiver core, so TJ Hawkinson is going to be the best target on the team, which all combines to be very, very nice for Mr. TJ Hawkinson to potentially finish as a top 3 tight end in fantasy football. So here, we are definitely going to go ahead and select TJ Hawkinson. So looking back at the draft board after we went ahead and got TJ Hawkinson, the Fantasy Pros, you guys can't see it right now, but it's saying that that was a slight reach. Fantasy Pros, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. To me, that was excellent value on TJ Hawkinson. After with Hawkinson came Juju Smith-Schuster, Cortland Sutton, Justin Herbert, the pervert, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy begins the 8th round, followed by Myles Gaskin, Mike Davis, Travis Etienne, James Robinson, and Robbie Anderson. Devontae Smith finally played a game last night. He was cleared to play in that preseason game, which was all fine and dandy, but of course, Jalen Hurts is ill. He's ill. That motherfucker, I'm ill, not sick. He said he was ill, and then it comes out that he's in the hospital with stomach pain, and he's not going to be out of the hospital for 2 days. What happened? I have no idea. Did he eat some fucking rank sushi or something? I have no idea. Did he go to 7-Eleven and eat a hot dog or something and it went bad on him? I'm not too sure. But it is what it is. He missed that game, so we didn't get to see Smith and Jalen Hurts. Smith didn't look great in that game, but he didn't unimpress either, to the fact where I would be nervous, and the fact that he's healthy is very, very good for some reasoning as to why you might want to move Devontae Smith up your ranking. So here, we are back up on the board. We got 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a quarterback. Very different start to what I normally do in drafts, but I like how this team is looking so far. That's why I advise you guys to, when you're doing your mock draft, to not just stick to one given strategy, right? You might think that, oh, I'm a running back early guy. Then we draft 2 running backs every single time in the first 2 rounds. Then you're not really going to fucking learn anything, because in the first round, some people might just take 5 wide receivers. Now, obviously, the odds that happens is very low, but it could happen. And then you might be able to get better value at running back, or the opposite, where everyone's taking a running back in the first round. You're at the 12th overall pick, and you can have Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs, but instead, you're so set on the fact that you need to go ahead and get a running back that you just draft 2 running backs there, and the value wasn't there. So please, when you're mock drafting, make sure that you're doing different strategies, and make sure that you go into the draft with a very open mind, not to think that you have to do something. Don't think, hey, I have to pick a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round. Don't think, hey, I have to draft a tight end in the 2nd round, because then you're going to be putting yourself into a mental box that you will not be able to escape. So please make sure that you don't be doing that, even though that's not correct English. So looking at the board here, running backs, Chase Edmonds, Javonte Williams, Damian Harris, Michael Carter. Now, Damian Harris looked good in his touches last night up against the Philadelphia Eagles, and everyone's going to talk up Ramondre Stevenson. You want to know why Stevenson looks so good? Because he's playing up against not the first team defense that Damian Harris is playing against. Now again, will Stevenson be involved? Maybe, but I am still confident that Damian Harris is the lead guy in New England, and I will continue to draft him as such inside of the 8th, 9th round. So we do have 7 turns until our next pick, so I do have a decent feeling that'll fall our way, and if he doesn't, I'm fine getting Michael Carter, since he is my running back number 4, because we already have Henderson, Carson, and Henry. So here, we are going to go wide receiver, and I know not a lot of people like this pick at all, but I have been picking him a lot in my mock drafts, and that is Brandon Cooks, wide receiver of the Houston Texans. I understand that the situation there at quarterback is very confusing. Deshaun Watson might play, he might not play, I have no idea, but he has been a very reliable wide receiver for fantasy football for years. He was last year, finishing as a top 20 wide receiver, but he's getting drafted in the 8th round. Maybe the 9th round, the 10th round in some other draft. So I'm here, and I'm very excited to get Brandon Cooks. I understand, though, why you may be nervous, because the quarterback situation there is very unclear. So after we went ahead and drafted Brandon Cooks, we see DJ Chark come off the board, followed by Tyler, Boyd, Chase Edmonds, Javonte Williams, Deebo Samuel, and Antonio Brown. The value of Javonte Williams here and Travis Etienne in the 8th and 9th round is very good. While I don't like them as running backs, because I honestly believe in their rookie seasons, Travis Etienne is completely screwed over by the fact that Urban Meyer has a love for Carlos Hyde, and the fact that James Robinson is going to be very involved for Javonte Williams. I personally believe that Melvin Gordon is going to have a very strong impact on this team. While he didn't play in the preseason, we saw Javonte Williams ball out. But we also saw Royce Freeman be very involved. That's what they do. It's a 1-2 punch system in Denver, whether you fucking like it or not. whether you like it or not. They paid Melvin Gordon all this money. It's his final year. They're going to run him into the dirt. I believe Javonte Williams is a swing and a miss inside like the 4th or 5th round. But here in the 9th round, I'm fine taking that because to me, inside the 9th round, it's definitely worth a lot of upside there that he does have. If Melvin Gordon was to go down, wouldn't be surprised if Javonte Williams was a top 12 running back. So here, I'm going to go with Damian Harris again. I really do believe he is the running back number 1 in New England, and this is a team that I believe to be a lot better in 2021. The defense is a lot better, and they are typically a run-heavy team, especially if Cam Newton is under center. Now, again, there's obviously a shot that he ends up getting benched for Mac Jones, but how are we supposed to project when that's going to happen? So right now, I'm sticking to the fact that I believe that this is going to be a much better team. They're going to be able to run late, much more late in the game, I should say, and Damian Harris is going to eat up those yards. So after Damian Harris came Will Fuller, Jarvis Landry, Raheem Mostert, Pittsburgh Steelers defense, LA Rams defense, Jalen Waddle, followed by Laviska Shenault, Curtis Samuel, Michael Gallup, Michael Carter, Melvin Gordon, and Michael Pittman Jr. Back up on the board here, we could really go either way at running back or at wide receiver. With the fact that we have Kyler Murray, with the fact that we have TJ Hawkinson, I'm not really looking to draft 2 tight ends or 2 quarterbacks. I'm very sold in on the fact that Kyler Murray's going to be really good. I'm sold on the fact that Hawkinson's going to be really good. So there's no real reason to draft a second quarterback or a second tight end. Sure, you'll eventually need them in the season when Kyler's on his bye, when Hawkinson's on his bye, but you know what you do? Then you just cut a player off your bench, add a new tight end, because every week there's going to be tight ends that you can add and play. Same thing goes with quarterback, especially in a 10-team league. The quarterbacks are very, very deep. By week 12, you can easily find some random guy off the street on the waiver wire. You take him, you throw him into your lineup, and he can be relatively productive, especially if you're playing the correct matchup. So make sure that you guys are subscribed for the up-to-date waiver wire content I post every single week to help you guys dominate your league, not just from the draft, but all season long. So make sure you check out that waiver wire content I post every single week. So looking at the board here, running backs, Trey Sermon, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, David Johnson, James Conner, Zach Moss, wide receivers, Corey Davis, Mike Williams, Marvin Jones, Devontae Parker, Darnell Mooney, and Hollywood Brown. Mecole Hardman is one of the easiest avoids, in my opinion, in drafts. I don't believe that Mecole Hardman is the true wide receiver 2 there. I've been saying this for a very long time. I've been talking about how I don't know which second wide receiver you want to draft there because Sammy Watkins is now gone, but it's not Mecole Hardman. It's not. Maybe draft Byron Pringle with your last pick. Maybe draft Demarcus Robinson with your last pick. I will not be caught dead drafting Mecole Hardman. I really genuinely believe this guy's going to be a swing and a miss again. It's a fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. I don't even know if I'm saying the thing correctly, but he's going to fool you as many times as you let yourself believe in him. So just go ahead, take him out of your mind. Now, I don't say ever to just say that a player, you just cannot draft him, right? Because technically, you can draft any player if they fall to the correct spot. But I've never seen Mecole Hardman fall to the 15th round with my final pick where I'm willing to take him. He's just not. He's going to go in the 9th, 10th, 11th round. I've seen him go inside the 8th round. Just fade him at that ADP. Right now, I do not like Trey Sermon that much, but I do believe that he does have the potential to potentially be the number 1 running back on a very run-heavy team. But with how our team is constructed here, with the fact that we already have 4 running backs, we only have 3 wide receivers, I might want to lean Darnell Mooney here, or maybe Elijah Moore. Marvin Jones I like a lot, but maybe one of them falls to me. So here we are going to lean with the running back, and we're going to go with Trey Sermon. I don't believe he's going to get the first licks on a team. I believe Raheem Mostert will be the guy getting it early on. But if Raheem Mostert is to fuck up, play bad, anything like that, then Trey Sermon may get the hot hand and be a league winner inside of the 11th round. I like drafting both of them late because I think they both have very big upside on a team that loves to run the ball. And once Trey Lance is under center, it's inevitable, right? As Thanos would say, it is inevitable. It's inevitably going to happen. How early is it? I don't know. That's kind of why I'm worried about George Kittle. Could Jimmy Garoppolo be the quarterback all season? Maybe. Right? Because the offense is set up in a way for him to succeed. The defense is really good, so there is a chance that he just continues to play as a starting quarterback. But if I'm being honest with you, I think eventually Trey Lance is going to take over. So after I went Trey Sermon came Leonard Fournette, Zach Moss, Corey Davis, Ronald Jones, Noah Fant, and Hollywood Brown. Now, while I kind of talked about in yesterday's video about tight ends, how Noah Fant just does nothing for me, right? I see Noah Fant come off the board, and in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's just another tight end, right? In like the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 range, right? He could finish anywhere inside of tight end 8 through 12. But when you're getting him in the 11th round, I'm fine to take him. I just don't get super excited to take those tight ends. The tight end I'm very excited about is Irv Smith. That goes later, but we already have our whole team constructed here with a tight end that I'm very confident in, so there's no need to take another tight end. So here, Marvin Jones falls to us. This is immense value. To me, Marvin Jones could easily be the wide receiver 1 in targets in Jacksonville. Chark is getting drafted much higher than him. Laviska Shenault typically getting drafted higher than him as well. I love Marvin Jones at this spot. I believe the Jacksonville defense is going to be bad. It's no longer the Saxonville Jaguars of the past that are not very good. They could be good in the future because of how young they are. But right now, they're not going to be very good. Trevor Lawrence going to have to be throwing the ball a lot, and Marvin Jones seems to be his favorite out of training camp and in those preseason games. But Chark has been banged up, so maybe with Chark inserted into there, he is the guy. But to me, I'd rather wait until the 11th round over paying a 8th round draft price on DJ Chark. I'm getting about a 3-round discount on Marvin Jones. That's how I like to do things here. So after Marvin Jones, we see Henry Ruggs come off the board, followed by 2 defenses, David Johnson, A.J. Dillon, Dallas Goedert. Round 12 begins with James Conner, followed by Darnell Mooney, Kenyon Drake, Mike Williams, McCole Hardman, and Logan Thomas. So we are back up on the board here at the 12:07. And here we're going to go either running back or wide receiver again. Basically, all of our late round picks are going to be running back or wide receiver here. I do like Jamal Williams most out of this bunch. I also like Gus Edwards a lot. I think we're going to go with Edwards over Jamal Williams. Like them both a decent amount, but I think if J.K. Dobbins was to go down, Edwards is going to be available. Not be available, going to be very useful, but if Dobbins was to stay healthy, I also believe Gus Edwards will be used in a decent amount to where in plus matchups, in these good matchups, he could be a flex for your team with how much the Ravens run the football. So we're back up on the board here. Final pick before we pick our kicker and defense, but something I want to note is unless you are drafting after training camp is over, after preseason, I would advise just not drafting a kicker or a defense and drafting an extra running back, 2 extra running backs, or an extra running back and an extra wide receiver if your website allows you to do it. Cough, cough, ESPN doesn't. So if you're on ESPN, you're kind of shit out of luck. Now, let me tell you something. Inside of the 13th round, I would rather take on a grizzly bear with my fists than draft T.Y. Hilton inside the 13th round. I would rather die than draft T.Y. Hilton inside the 13th round is basically what I am insinuating here. Carson Wentz, banged up again, should be good to go early on in the season. But man, T.Y. Hilton looks like his career went from like one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. He was great in fantasy football, and then it started falling off. And I feel like the train's been derailed for T.Y. Hilton. So here we go. We're not drafting him. We're going to draft either Elijah Moore, Russell Gage, Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley's a guy no one's really talking about, but was ultra consistent last year. Now, again, late rounds in the draft, I don't like to just go super safe, right? I like to get a little spicy, YOLO, draft someone. No one said fucking YOLO since like 2012, but you get what I'm insinuating here. Like, fuck it. Let me just draft someone crazy here with a lot of upside. Cole Beasley is safe, but also has a lot of upside on a weekly basis in the Buffalo Bills offense. I think we can wait on him, though. Normally, he doesn't go in this range. I see him go undrafted a lot. I think Elijah Moore has been the best wide receiver in this camp. For the Jets, now, he is out for the entire week, should be back relatively soon, so unless there are some setbacks in his rehab, I believe that he would be a very solid draft selection here inside the 13th round. Sadly, the other wide receivers I wanted ended up going before we get to pick again, but it's okay because we're going to go with a running back in this round instead. After Elijah Moore came Tony Pollard, Naheem Hines, Mike Likiamagasiki, Cole Beasley, J.D. McKissick, Alexander Madison, Baltimore Ravens defense, Tyler Higbee, Ryan Tannehill, Jalen Hurts, Russell Gage, and Justin Tucker, the fucker. So again, we're not going kicker, we're not going defense. We're going to load back up on some more running backs. So, you know what? We're going to handcuff our guy. Typically, I'm not a big handcuff guy, but where is Stevenson at? Here he is. Here he is. Now, I do like James White as well. I think this is going to be a very solid offense in New England, but Stevenson may be the real handcuff because if Harris was to go down, then he would take over all of that rushing upside. Now, again, definitely a reach ahead of a guy like Latavius Murray, who's still available, but obviously Latavius Murray is going to fall our way, who is an amazing handcuff for, obviously, Alvin Kamara if he was to go down, and does have, like, literally if Alvin Kamara goes down, Latavius Murray could easily drop 30-plus points a game. I believe he did that last season. Let's see. Of course, you can't see the games from last season, but this dude went off unless Alvin Kamara played all the games this year, maybe it was the year before, when Alvin Kamara went down and Latavius Murray was fucking feasting. So I really do believe that if something was to happen to Kamara, then Latavius Murray is a monster in fantasy football. So the draft ends up ending here with a bunch of kickers and a bunch of defenses going after us. So our team is complete. We got an 89 out of 100. At the end of these mock draft videos, I always explain that if we're doing it on the Fantasy Pros mock draft wizard, again, I do some drafts on ESPN. I do them sometimes on NFL, sometimes on ESPN. So it's not always going to be up against the computer, but I'm recording this one very late at night. I got into a draft after waiting 10 minutes on Yahoo, and some motherfucker took a kicker with the 101. So that's what we get stuck doing. And I wasn't about to wait again. I was like, you know what? I need to record this. I need to go to bed. So I do apologize if you prefer to draft up against real people. That should be for next video. So our team quarterback is Kyler Murray. Running backs are Derrick Henry and Chris Carson. Our wide receivers are Calvin Ridley and A.J. Brown. Our tight end is T.J. Hawkinson. Our flex is Darrell Henderson. Our bench is comprised of Brandon Cooks, Damian Harris, Trey Sermon, Marvin Jones, Gus Bus Edwards, Elijah Moore, Ramondre Stevenson, and Latavius Murray. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Please make sure to check out my rankings as well as my articles in the link down below in the description or the pinned comment. It helps me out a ton if you check those out. So please check those out. Look at them, read them. The articles literally only take about a minute or two to read each. They're not very long. They're just kind of explaining how they did last year and then explaining some changes on the team and then explaining how I believe they will do in 2021. Very easy reads, and it gives you a good idea on a lot of the players that I've written up in the draft. I've written up a bunch of players already, so please make sure that you check those out. More articles coming every single day. So thank you guys all for watching. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you are new and you ended up enjoying. I love you guys. Thank you for 15,000 subscribers. I'm clapping for you guys. Without you guys, the channel doesn't keep going. Without you guys, I am not here right now. So thank you guys. Genuinely, it is amazing. It is amazing. It genuinely is. It's so crazy. So crazy. All the time when I think about it, man, it's amazing. So thank you guys so much. Not trying to get sentimental here. Means everything. We're going to hopefully get to 20,000 during the season, maybe even before the season. Now, that might be a bit of an ambitious call. There's still a couple of more weeks until the season, so maybe we could hit it before. You never know. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. I love you guys. Please make sure that you stay safe. Happy Friday, baby. It's the weekend almost. I love you guys. Stay safe as always. Good boy.